Welcome to the 5th grade, 4th 6 weeks curriculum preview. Hope you had a great break and ready to get with it. Let's just begin. Our reading expectations for Unit 4. We want students to be at a text level U, that's satisfactory, strong, V. Once again, we want them reading independently for greater than 20 minutes with comprehension in that instructional level. We want 300 minutes of that independent reading level. And then we want 300 minutes of guided reading with you back at that great table doing great things. We want for them to, with their independent reading, to complete at least 1 to 3 reading responses that go along with their independent reading. And we have the expectations that you're using the reading notebook to record learning, to set goals for them, and then use them as a reference tool for them during their guided reading. So by the end of the 6 weeks unit, the units are expected to make inferences and support responses with textual evidence. That is your lead standard. To write brief summaries that paraphrase and connect the main ideas in a text to the central message. This will help them so much with the reading test with picking out what is the best summary. Summarize, paraphrase, and synthesize text. Compare ideas within 2 texts. And then we want them reading independently with comprehension and fluency. And remember, at a text level U. If you have those at T, those are the kids we really need to be working with more. So let's look at the word study that we have. Of course, once again, we have our 5.2a where they're going to be looking at roots and affixes designed in the 5th grade spelling. Also, at 5.2b where they are looking at the meaning of words and understanding them in context. And then we're looking at idioms and other sayings. And once again, you see your spelling, and we'll take a look at what that looks like in the English word study. So in the English word study, if you have that, you know that we have the pacing guide for you, week 19 through 20, derivatives with a change in the sound with a vowel. So we have this great lessons for you in there to do that one with. Week 21 to 22, suffixes. So, and word work 11 shows you those. If you follow that, the English word study, it's right there for you. Week 23 and 24, Latin roots of struck, track, and you see them right here. And then we have an example. This is in your English word study of some activities that you would do with when you look at and doing those words with them and asking what do they mean when you add those to the base word. Our grammar alert this week. This 6 weeks, we're looking at adjectives. We're looking at superlative and comparative, and so that's a great thing. And then additional grammar skills were when to use quotations, when do you need to use initials and acronyms. And so we give you some common acronyms to look at, and of course that's on page 38 of your English word study. Of course, once again, academic vocabulary, we have this new for you in English and Spanish. Make sure that we're looking at this because they need to know what these different words mean and how they're used in the context of learning. So there's your academic language. So let's take a look at reading. We've already talked about that inference is your lead standard. Once again, you're going to be looking at theme and genre, poetry, drama, and then in fiction, they're supposed to be looking at making inferences and drawing conclusions. That's within drama. And then sensory language, how does sensory language affect the text? And then they're expected to determine the facts in a text and verify them through established methods. And then we also have the media literacy. They're expected to analyze various digital media venues from levels of formality and informality. So let's take a look at what your focus lessons might be. I hope you have your Unit 4 there with you, going on with me, looking in the suggested uses for classroom approaches. One of the things you might do is to use the poster about do actions speak louder than word, because we're looking at how writers use their words and details intentionally to evoke a specific response and influence your ideas. So you're going to use the opportunities to discuss those particular things with them. The SOAP Think Sheet, which is in the Norma Jackson Resources, is a great way to guide students through analysis and comparisons of a wide variety of text. So you would model this. You would model how you use the SOAP with the kids in a mini lesson, and then have them do this with text that you choose, or maybe that during their independent reading time. Inference is very big, so let's look at how we're going to be looking at they're expected to determine facts and texts and verify them through established methods. The Comprehension Toolkit, the Infer Meaning book, is book 4, and lesson 11 is just really rich with how to teach kids to look at the facts, and from the facts that you have been given through what the author has said, how to infer. And then there is a sheet for them to fill out with looking at different types of informational text. So you might have a mini lesson, break that lesson down, break these lessons down, do portions of them so they won't be so long, and then rinse and repeat that with facts and inferences with different types of text. Have students use the 2 column, this is that, and in their independent time, have them read informational text and fill out that. What are the facts and what do you infer from those facts? And so that'd be a great independent reading. Drama is one. You want it. They're going to be making inferences about the characters, their feelings, their motivation, and character traits. In your Treasures, Unit 3, The Catch of the Day, A Trickster Play is a great drama for you to use, and having them do and use that with those. Theme and genre about myths. I had a great time looking at this and finding lessons for you. I have a link right here to a PDF about explaining the phenomenon explained in myths. And then here's some mentor texts that you might use with doing theme and genre. I know the librarian probably has these books right here for you to really take a look at what myths are all about. And I think children would, in the 5th grade, would really enjoy myths. And so that'd be some great lessons for you to do for a week. Always you're looking at poetry, and especially since you're looking with inference about using maybe the Friday poetry. In your unit overview, you see the school bus and taking a look of how do poets use sensory images and using things to pack a lot of meaning into each line. What does it mean? So going line by line, really helping kids inference with poetry. And just with inference, with all types of text, model and practice analyzing, making inferences, and drawing conclusion in a wide range of genres, including narrative and informational text. Just discussing, rinsing and repeating with book after book, taking small portions of text passages and reading about how do you make a good inference, teaching kids to really monitor how they're making inferences. In guided reading, I hope that you are using your Jan Richardson book in the Transitional Guided Reading Plan, because it's just a guide for you to help you through. Remember, you have an introduction, you want the kids, and then here's your teaching points. You don't do all of those, you choose one, you write down your discussion point, and then you look at what's the word study. And inside Jan Richardson's book, it explains each one of these. So if you needed help with what does that mean, so understanding the components of that back there at that guided reading table. And so I have those pages listed for you. So use those lesson plans, because they'll guide you through that guided reading group. Here is the link to the resources that you can download those particular lesson plans. I can't stress to you how much the continuum of literacy learning would help you out. So there's lots of different sections in the continuum, but the last section is about, if you have the older book, it's about guided reading. And what it does, it will take level T, and it will, on page 306, it will guide you through what is selecting text, because that is one of the components of guided reading, is selecting just right text for them. How do you select the text? Then on page 308, what are the behaviors and understand? What are you going to notice? What are you going to teach? And what do you support in level T to move them to that next level? And then on that page, there's planning for word work. It really guides you through, like when a kid is at a level T, what is some of the word work that is needed to help them move through a level T? Same thing with level U. So the continuum is rich in helping you, guide you through, and giving you that information you need to make those guided reading groups the best. Once again, I cannot explain to you and just talk about how important your level libraries are. The new benchmark books we bought are amazing. I want you to take those out. I want you to have them, put them in their book bags. I'd rather them be torn and weathered than sitting in the book room not used. But if you haven't had the opportunity to look at the new benchmark books we have purchased, just make sure that you do that this 6 weeks and use that. It's such a great resource for you. You're reading A to Z, and your RAS kids, you're going to be having some training from the company that maybe will help you to how incorporating, that independent reading with RAS kids for kids during that work time, during independent work time. Now, in writing, we want them to be writing every single day, and of course using the writing process. And so we want them writing expository and procedural or work-related text. Use this with your social studies and science. What is it that you're studying about? Have them read and write about what they have been learning. So don't reinvent the wheel. Use what they're using in social studies and science to write what they've learned. The conventions are adjectives, comparative, and superlative, and I'll have some ways to maybe show that to them. We really want kids at this time to be at a stage 9. And in your writing workshop, I hope that you are doing a mini lesson and they are writing independently for at least 20 minutes and doing those first drafts. And I hope that you're stopping and looking and getting up and conferencing with them about the things that they need to see in their writing and proofreading for them using the stop procedure. Using your writer's notebook to record learning, and then really to use it as a reference tool to some of the things we need to learn this 6 weeks. So multi-paragraphs essays, you want to make sure that they're applying all those conventions: capitalization, punctuation, grammar, spelling, and legible handwriting, and then reinforcing those anchor routines, freeze time, and stop pair. And then also you're using your 12-stage writing rubric. You're going to be having a writing assessment, really analyzing what they did on that middle of the year. And then continue using the SOAP Think Sheet to analyze any compositions and provide specific feedback to their compositions that they're using. In your overview, you're going to see there's a focus lesson on how to use precise language in your writing. So use that. With grammar, I would suggest really talking to them about comparative and superlative forms of adjectives. Make an anchor chart with them, place that into their writing notebook, and then also use mentor sentences that out of the text that you're reading to say, look at how this author used comparative and superlative language, and show them great sentences about how authors use those particular types of grammar to make their writing more precise. And then, of course, then follow up with, during that writing workshop time, remember that we're using, when it's appropriate, use those adjectives that really give you precise language. And then once again, the conventions, take time to have a mini lesson on what is the proper way to look at quotations, where's the placement of the punctuation, and then you hold them accountable for that in their writing to say, this today, if you're going to use quotations, I want you to remember to go back in your writing notebook, look at the way we talked about quotation marks, and do this in your writing. Check for that. So that conferencing is so very important to really secure those skills that you want them to have. Remember, the stop procedure is so essential in editing and revising. We want to make sure that they're generating words and details that demonstrate the writer's expertise on the topic, because you're writing about social studies and science. What is it that you learned? What quote did you find? What fact did you find that to do that? Use language that reflects a keen awareness of the idea and be developed in intended audience. Make sure that when they're looking at, replace language to improve the meaning and emotional impact of ideas on the audience. And then routinely proofread the accurate use of homophones designated for grades 1 through 5. And also, you're teaching about quotation marks and some of the different ways that you abbreviate. They're using those. Make sure that they are doing those in their writing during that time. One of the things that, Technology Wow Story Kit is a great way for kids to really be able to tell a story about something and use it. So I would tell you to, there's a link here. I'm going to download this PowerPoint for you to look at some of the things that some folks are doing with Story Kit. Your digital media specialists are amazing with this, so get them to help you to incorporate those great ideas into your reading and writing workshop. I hope you have a great 4th 6 weeks. Please let us know how we can help you.